This is the vlog for what is today? February 11th? Yeah, February 11th, 2019. We got a little bit of snow over the weekend. We got like 2.5 inches on Saturday, I want to say. Today we got a bit more. Um, I think we got at least another 3 inches, and that was the last time I checked. And in fact, I was a little bit frustrated because I spent all morning cleaning my car off. So we must have gotten more snow on Sunday because I cleaned my car off before I went out and got lunch on Saturday. And then I had to do it again today. Yeah, so we got snow Saturday morning, Friday night, and then we got more snow last night and this morning and this afternoon, and it's still snowing actually, I think. I got a lot of snow. Um, but that's okay. I haven't got anywhere I need to be yet. I did spend a lot of my day working on my resume, updating it, making it pretty instead of a very basic Word document. That Word document is a little bit embarrassing, I have to say, and it's barely formatted. It's very much just a list of all the things that you're supposed to have on a resume. I need to get a cover letter ready next, and I need to make sure that I have the phone numbers of all the contacts, not referrals. What's the word I'm looking for? References. Um, don't worry. The few of you out there that watch this are not probably going to be references on my list. Although, if you'd like to volunteer, leave a comment, and I'll figure out who you are in real life and get your phone number. But I'm not asking for volunteers. I have a few good friends who will speak well of me if I use them as references. And the best part is most of them are coworkers or former coworkers, rather. So they're all work references and they're all personal references. That's good. But I did run into a snag because this morning in Subnautica, right before I, took a shower and decided to be an adult for the afternoon, um, I finished a project that I've been working on for some time, the Cyclops submarine. Now, the Cyclops, for those of you who don't play Subnautica, uh, it's special. It's when you think of a submarine, it's basically what you think of. It's long. It moves like a submarine. It doesn't pitch up or down like real subs tend to do. You have this idea in your head that a sub just does this, but they will and they can and will breach almost like a whale, where they come up and then settle. Um, that's what those big fins on the side tend to do. Sorry if I sound stuffed up. It's just the cold. I'm not actually sick. It's just the cool weather tends to make me a little congested. Also, the dinner I had a lot of cheese in it, so that's probably something to do with it too. I get congested if I have a lot of dairy. Um, there is a problem with the Cyclops. It is massive, and it's large on a scale that the game usually reserves for the sprawling bases that you're capable of creating. Um, and I have to give Unknown Worlds a lot of credit there too, because the idea of a game where you spend a lot of your time swimming, maybe not 90%, but at least 70 or 80% of your time swimming around in the ocean. The parts where you're actually walking around inside your base feel as natural as any other aspect of the game, even though they're meant to be sort of a, pit stop on the way to further adventures in the deep. And what sets the Cyclops apart from the other vehicles in the game are the other vehicles are very small. They're nearly human sized. The Seamoth personal sub, which is basically just like a little, I'd call it a motorcycle, except that you sit inside it, but it's just barely bigger than you are, and it's a way to get around quickly. It's not heavily armored. It doesn't have any offensive capability to speak of. The other personal vehicle is the prawn suit. The prawn suit is essentially an underwater version of the big exoskeleton that Ripley uses at the end of Aliens. It has two big arms. It plods along the ocean floor. It has jump jets that allow it to move around more easily, but it's a good thing that it's very heavily armored and it's capable of punching out some of the more dangerous sea life out there, because in a game where depth is more dangerous than anything else, because if you're not properly equipped, the combination of crushing pressure and darkness is going to do you in. This one vehicle, which is drawn to the bottom of the ocean like an anchor, is perhaps its own worst enemy. It's a vehicle that you can get stuck places without any means of escaping if you haven't equipped it properly. And while you can just abandon it and start swimming away, depending on how deep you are, especially if you're deep enough that it gets destroyed, you can abandon it, and then you may not have any mechanism to reach the surface quickly enough before you run out of air. I have a very high capacity tank now. I don't know how long it would take me to get to the surface from 900 meters, but keep in mind that's a kilometer almost down, and that's the distance at which my prawn suit will start to be crushed by pressure. Now, the game plays a little bit fast and loose with human under pressure. Essentially, the only thing that you have to worry about before equipping yourself is your oxygen depletes more quickly. Which is funny because your oxygen supply is mostly reliant on a big tube on your back, which should be getting crushed by pressure of that magnitude. But if you wear a rebreather mask, it cancels out the oxygen depletion that you get the further down you go. So you could theoretically fall to 890 meters in your prawn suit and then hop out of it and swim around with no real problems, except that it's probably dark as night, actually darker than night, and there are some very nasty things that live down that far. So, the Cyclops, on the other hand, is larger, presents a bigger target, it's slower, and it has no real means of defending itself aside from a decoy launcher that is meant to distract anything that can damage it while it, hustles away. And it has a top speed that nearly matches the Seamoth's normal speed, its cruising speed. But that's flanking speed, and if you keep flanking speed active for 20 seconds in the Cyclops, the engine bursts into flame, at which point you need to stop piloting it, go into the back of it with a fire extinguisher, and put the fire out. Now, I'm excited for this kind of gameplay in Warframe. That's actually what they've been talking about with Railjack. I almost feel like these guys got into a Cyclops in Subnautica and said, we need to put this in the game. Because Subnautica is very much not a game where you're piloting a giant ship, but eventually you get to pilot a giant ship. And the one thing I keep thinking of right now in Subnautica is if I had more than one person to help me control the Cyclops, somebody to man an offensive or defensive weapon to scare away bigger, nastier creatures, someone to helm navigation so we can figure out where we're going and keep an eye out and make sure that we're clearing obstacles, that sort of thing. I would have a blast with that, and thankfully that is what Railjack is going to be for Warframe. So I'm looking forward to it, especially since it's supposed to come out before the end of the year. There's still a lot of year left, so it'll be a while. But yeah, I have this awesome new toy to play with, and I'm scared to do anything with it because I know that as soon as I run afoul of some giant leviathan down in the deeps that can actually harm the Cyclops, I'm going to be deathly afraid of the damage that it accrues and running around the ship trying to put out any leaks that suddenly spring. Oh, God. The stress. This game is amazing at inducing stress, especially since you have nearly no offensive weaponry whatsoever. But I'm going to go back to it. I'm Eric Spornitz, and tomorrow will be better.